also advocating, as I understand, for like healthy life, for like exercise and eat healthy and stuff. So, and like speaking about the kind of nation health, do you think the food here, like hawker center food, is kind of healthy food? I know. Because like we can talk about like, let's say fast food in the US, not super healthy. If you want to eat healthy, you need to find your place, to eat healthy. Some, like here, some regions, the food is quite like oily, quite greasy, fat. I don't know if you have an idea about Singapore, what do you think about the food here?
Yes, and we, even though we're an institute for digital medicine, even though I'm part of a biomedical engineering department, I personally, as well as our actual research portfolio, we are interested in food and nutrition. And I think that when we talk about community, when we talk about actionability, I think all cuisines around the world, there are healthier cuisines and there are really tasty cuisines that are also healthy, and then there are really tasty cuisines that are not so healthy or less healthy. Yeah. I think a shift that we have seen here quite recently is this move to take the foods that we love and then to modify them to be a bit more suitable and aligned with kind of healthier living. And so I would say that there are tastier foods here that may not rank the highest in terms of health, but I think we're quickly finding that some of these adjustments, right, that we maybe don't need as much sugar as we think we do, and the changes are already happening, that foods can still taste good. One thing we're doing is we're actually starting to work with restaurants to look for other switches we can make, different types of oils, even looking at the economics of the food. How can we make it healthier but keep it accessible to the masses? And to use these levers that we have to keep everything tasty, and that's part of our fabric, right? The amazing food culture that we have here, but to really find the best of both worlds. It's totally possible, and some of those changes are happening already.
But I think it probably drives the cost up.
Yes, if you know, there's this notion that eating healthy is way more expensive. We haven't reached into this area yet from our own work, but one of the areas we are looking at is if we look at things like subsidies for healthcare versus potential subsidies and things like that for food, I think there could be a case made once we generate more evidence that certain types of ingredients that are associated with being healthier, if down the road there's room to think about subsidies for those as a comparison to subsidies for healthcare, we do have some space to work with. And that's actually an area we're looking at right now.
By the way, do you deal with the government authorities, I believe, right?
Yes, I've had a chance to interact extensively with different ministries and to talk about things like the regulation and advancement of innovation, all the way to now some ideas for health optimization that we're looking at in our institute.
How's your experience? Like, are they receptive to new ideas?
I think what's so cool, right, about this ecosystem, which is different from what I'm used to before I moved here, is that part of the key stakeholders that we need to take an idea and get it to people at scale is the policymaking side. And I've had the privilege of interacting with policymakers almost during my first few months here. And what was amazing was the depth of the discussions that have led to action, right? And I think that's what's remarkable. So the reception, clear. And then beyond that, before COVID, we had discussed some of our AI and digital medicine innovations with key policymakers here. And then when COVID happened, it was these policymakers that personally bridged us with those in the clinical community who could help us validate the innovations. And those introductions made it clearly possible for us to validate and then ultimately publish the work and share it with the world. That's reception, but that's also action. Right? And that's actually helped us get our innovations to people. And one of them was a COVID drug optimization platform, right? The policymakers studied it with us and directly linked us with those who could validate it. That's real action.